Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about understanding why we have the obesity epidemic that we do. And it really is a couple of dietary factors. And I know that we oftentimes use these terms, fitness world will say, well, hyper-palatable, calorie-dense foods, or they'll just simply say refined carbs. And here's the fact of the matter. Well, let's be very specific because those are such ambiguous and vague terms. What do we mean by hyperpalatable? Well, anything that tastes really good that's easy to overeat. Okay, that's it. That's usually because we've added large amounts of sweet and salty or fat, right? So any combination of those three, any combination of two, usually fatty. Sweet plus fatty, right? Or salty plus fatty. So you think of sweet or savory. That's it. That's what causes it. The calorie density usually comes in the form of fat. Now, it can also come in the form of refined sugars. So here's the other problem. Everyone throws this term around, refined carb, or just they use sugar. And that's not what we need to be worried about, because this starts eliminating huge amounts of foods that are not the problem. The problem is refined fructose specifically. Okay? And we need to be clear of where we're getting those. We're usually getting those from table sugar, which is called sucrose. The chemical name for that is sucrose. Okay? We need to understand that. Sucrose. It's a glucose and a fructose with a little bond holding them together. It's 50% glucose by weight, 50% fructose. So it's a refined fructose. And it's not all fructose we need to be concerned about. It's really refined sugars. So it would include that, and it would include high fructose corn syrup. Now we could throw honey in that same category, by the way. Not because it's refined or doesn't have certain health benefits, but because chemically it's really no different from sucrose when it hits your intestine. Okay, that's the problem. Okay, right there. All right. When we don't have time to digest it, long story short, when that stuff gets into your bloodstream because you didn't have it in your gut long enough because it's refined and you absorb it really early on, your gut flora doesn't have time to turn it into glucose. Glucose is the sugar that we need. This is what our body runs on as our primary fuel source. We handle it well. Now, before people say, well, except for certain diabetic, no, but you've made yourself diabetic already. Don't get to the diabetic state. Because once you're there, you got a whole host of problems to fix. You're in trouble. By the time you're a type 2 diabetic, you're in trouble. And we can't base our nutrition advice on how do you fix type 2 diabetes once it's already there. Let's just not get there to begin with. Because you're going to need a medical intervention once you get there. I'm not going to be able to fix that in a YouTube video. You already screwed yourself. But I will say that you got to treat your body pretty dang bad to get there. Right? Which, again, millions of people are there, but they've abused their bodies, unfortunately. And I'm not going to get into the whole psychology behind that. But in short, the refined fructose is the problem. It's not all sugars. It's not even all fructose. It is the stuff that you absorb too fast. And again, just making it very, very simple without going into the issue of gut flora, enzymes, and everything. But fructose that reaches your liver in the bloodstream is a problem, okay? When it gets too high, because our body can't use it for fuel, it's technically a poison. It goes through the same process in the liver that alcohol does to make it into glucose, a fuel we can use. Puts a load on the liver. This can cause fatty liver, causes insulin resistance, can cause fat to accumulate around your organs. This is bad. But the insulin resistance is the big deal because we're not really getting fat from the fructose. Okay? I want to be clear, you're not storing fructose under your skin ever. It's not happening. You might be storing some of it converted in your liver and in your organs, but that's not going to be 20 pounds. If you got 20 pounds of visceral fat, you're at risk of dying very, very soon. Like you're in a bad spot. That's not what most people have. Okay. So it creates the insulin resistance. Well, what happens with the insulin resistance? We get hungry. We're lethargic and we're hungrier. We have an appetite issue that is created now because of the way that we process insulin and glucose. It means we're going to overeat way, way more. We're going to have metabolic syndrome. Okay. The fat we eat is what we're storing. We're not storing the carbohydrates. as body fat, not to a meaningful degree, and never under your skin. Again, that's been pretty clear in the metabolic ward. So what creates the dysfunction? The fructose creates the dysfunction, the excessive refined fructose. That dysfunction makes it more likely for us to way overeat the fat that we are then storing and all the fat calories. Now when people say, well, if I just eat really low fat, I can't. Well, except that your low fat might still be high enough in fat for you to gain a pound of fat every week. Put that in mind, keep that in context. Because when I think low fat, I'm thinking 15, 20 grams a day. A lot of people are talking about low fat and they're eating 70 grams a day. That could accumulate it all in a surplus. But the point is, it is the fat that you're storing. So then we'll overeat way more fat. We'll eat more calorically dense foods because our appetite has now been dysregulated. We have insulin resistance. It creates a whole cascade of problems. All right, this combination, and there's data that excess saturated fat also causes insulin resistance, just an FYI. So keto people, you guys aren't in the clear either, potentially. All right, this is our problem. It's this combination. We're eating all this refined fructose plus all this fat. Now, someone who gets some insulin resistance from excessive fructose still won't get fat if they ate almost no fat, if they ate an absurdly low-fat diet and still ate the tons of the refined sugars. They're going to have type 2 diabetes, possibly. They're going to have insulin resistance. They're not going to actually get obese, though. They're going to have other problems. So we need to be clear on it. It is this combination that is contributing. Neither one is good by themselves. A really excessive saturated fat creates its own set of problems. Really excessive refined fructose creates its set of problems. But the combination is what makes us obese. Right? This is what's getting us. It's not, everyone's, sedentary. No, because you still need a calorie surplus. Someone on a fairly strict diet would not gain fat even if they didn't exercise at all. It is the diet end. It's the diet end. In fact, it's very difficult to train your way down to a lower body fat if you're already obese. B, we need to be clear, it is 90% nutrition. So this is the cause. And again, we need to also be clear, it is this combination. The fructose is kind of like the trigger. It is the mechanism that is creating the problem, the ability for the problem to be there, and then it is the dietary fat in excess that is actually causing it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.